Welcome to Titans of Terror, where we look at the men and women who have shaped the horror landscape. Today's subject, actress Catriona MacColl. Catriona MacColl was born on October 3rd, 1954, in London, England. From the age of 5, she trained professionally as a ballerina, attending the Royal Ballet School. However, as a young adult, Catriona suffered a foot injury that prevented her from continuing her career path in dancing. Catriona began her career by making her debut in the 1978 French romantic drama The Last Romantic Lover, in which she received a small role. A few more French films and television shows followed. She usually played foreigners. In 1979, she received her first leading role in Lady Oscar, a historical drama directed by Jacques Demy based on the manga The Rose of Versailles by Ryoko Ikeda. The major sponsor of the film was cosmetics line Shiseido, and Catriona promoted a red lipstick for their spring cosmetic line that year. The film was a success in Japan, but not widely released in Europe, stalling her career. In 1980, Catriona was cast in the first of director Lucio Fulci's The Gates of Hell trilogy, called City of the Living Dead, which follows a priest whose suicide opens a gateway to hell that releases the undead. A psychic, played by Catriona, and a reporter team up to close it before All Saints' Day. Catriona was hesitant to do the film because the script was badly written. She said, "It seemed to me like a series of special effects without a story," she said in an interview in 2011. She called her agent to seek his advice. He told her to take the film because nobody's going to see it anyway. Like many of Fulci's films, this one has developed a cult following over the years. That same year, Catriona took a small part in the fantasy adventure Hawk the Slayer. The story follows two warring brothers who fight to gain control of a magical sword. Hawk, the brave warrior, assembles a small force of fighters to help him rid the land of his powerful and devious brother. Catriona played the hero's fiancé, murdered at the start of the film by his evil brother Voltan, who was played by Jack Palance. Notorious for being a so-bad-it's-good movie, it has reached cult status over the years. In 1981, Catriona married stage and film actor John Finch. At the ceremony, both bride and groom wore black. They divorced in 1987. Catriona's next major role was the second part of Fulci's trilogy, 1981's The Beyond. The film tells the story of a young woman inheriting an old hotel in Louisiana, where following a series of supernatural accidents, she learns that the building was built over one of the entrances to hell. Also released in edited form as Seven Doors of Death, with an entirely different musical score and ran several minutes shorter, the film was labeled a Section 2 Video Nasty immediately upon its release in the United Kingdom. It was finally released uncut in 2001. The Beyond is Catriona's favorite of the trilogy, stating that she remains drawn to the decadent Italian macabre poetry that she feels the film exudes. That same year, the trilogy would be completed, as Catriona also appeared in The House by the Cemetery, in which she played Lucy Boyle, the mother and wife of a family who move into an old house in New England, unaware that someone or something lives in the basement committing a series of murders. This film was one of the prosecuted films on the infamous Video Nasties list, with the uncut version finally being available in 2009. Next up, Catriona appeared in the French sci-fi miniseries called Noir sans la Galaxie. The show's plot concerned the French police being puzzled by strange deaths caused by a plant growing out of the stomach of the victims, who appear to be aliens. Catriona was then offered the lead role in Lucio Fulci's The New York Ripper, but turned it down because she was suspicious of the role. In 1982, Catriona landed a role on the BBC television show Squadron, about an elite Royal Air Force squadron undertaking specialist missions. The show only lasted 10 episodes, with Catriona appearing in 7 of them. In 1984, Catriona was part of the ensemble cast for the Italian-American TV miniseries The Last Days of Pompeii. In the series, Catriona plays Julia, a wealthy Roman in love with a poor noble poet. The series is much beloved today. Catriona continued working on television programs and films in the United Kingdom and France, including the 1988 French film Man-Eaters, a cannibal comedy about castaways being stuck on an island of three hungry ladies. She also appeared in Jacques Demy's pseudo-documentary, Three Seats for the 26th, about Italian-born French actor and singer Yves Montand. In 1989, Catriona made a guest appearance on the mystery horror anthology TV series The Hitchhiker, on an episode entitled Garter Belt. The episode focused on an American diplomat in Paris who built his career on shady dealings, losing everything when everyone suddenly becomes aware of the skeletons in his closet. In 1991, Catriona played a blind woman in the French-British psychological horror Afraid of the Dark, about a little boy obsessed with blindness and violence, slowly getting trapped in his own delusions. In 1993, Catriona married Pierre Rochard, and they are still happily married today. By the late 90s, Catriona was beginning to think her acting career was over, so she moved from Paris to the south of France and left that part of her life behind. Then a couple of years later, things started happening in the south of France. Catriona returned to horror in 2004 when she co-starred in Pascal Laugier's debut feature, House of Voices, a supernatural film that takes place in 1958 about a pregnant servant arriving at an orphanage to find one lone orphan who can hear voices and footsteps of children. The film was shot simultaneously in English and French. In 2011, Catriona portrayed Mère Antoinette, a wicked witch who turns into a toad and eats her victims, in the Mother of Toads segment of the horror anthology film The Theatre Bizarre. Set in France, the story concerns an American anthropologist and his girlfriend who fall victim to a witch known as the Mother of Toads, after the witch sells them a pair of elder sign earrings and shows the anthropologist a copy of the Necronomicon. In 2013, Catriona popped up in Chimeras, about a young man that ends up contracting vampirism after receiving a blood transfusion. Notorious Italian filmmaker Ruggero Deodato also makes an appearance in the film. The next year, Catriona was back with Horsehead, a surreal horror thriller about a woman with recurring nightmares getting worse after she attends her grandmother's funeral. As they intensify, she applies her knowledge of lucid dreaming to find the source of the horrible scenes. Starting in 2016, Catriona portrayed Kate Denard in a television series and 3 subsequent spin-off films of Anatomy of an Anti-Hero, aka Borrowed Time, about a wrongly accused man with a brain tumor being released from prison to become a vigilante. And in 2023, Catriona acted in a film called Isaac, about a set of grief-stricken parents enrolling into clinical trials by an established cellular meat company using its technology to create genetically modified babies. Catriona can do it all, whether it's a Shakespeare play, a French New Wave film, or flexing her chops as a scream queen. Catriona MacColl is a true titan of terror.